Thank you so much. So thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Flavio Hangarter, and I've been working with startups, specifically in the tech industry, for the last 7 years. And so my background is working with government-funded incubators, working with accelerators, and helping people with crazy ideas get funding for their crazy ideas. And there's a bit of a process that we follow. Tonight I wanted to talk to you about, and this is a question the lady in the front was asking before, you have done your market validation, what next? You've got a product out of market, you've done the landing page, you've done your concierge, MVP, and you've got a functional prototype up and running, and you've got people that are interested, they're loving it. But now you need to get revenue, you need to get it into market, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. And what better way to start than with some failed companies and what not to do. And I can tell you a lot of that because I've done all the mistakes possible. So what I wanted to talk about is, number one, I want to show you a couple of case studies of failed products and what they did wrong. I want to talk about product diffusion. It sounds very fancy, but it's not. I want to talk about some successful launches and dissect them, share the story of what they have done to be successful. And I want to wrap up with 5 key takeaways that you can take away for your own ideas that you can implement tonight, tomorrow. You probably never sleep if you're starting out a company. Who here is currently working on a startup? Awesome, yep. Who here is studying currently? Awesome. And who here is in the wrong room? No? Okay, so let me tell you, with the failed companies, what I wanted to do is share my failures. A lot of people don't like talking about failures. I think it should be celebrated. So I'm celebrating with PopWeb. This is a company, I didn't found it, but I was part of the first team, employee number 1, or one of the employees anyway. My job was business development, and it was a 3D virtual mall. And as it says here, the video game for shoppers. Amazing. So for you gamers in here, think of a 3D online shooting game, but you're in a mall and you're shopping. And this is in 2005. The company launched in 2007, and it never really took off. My job was to get businesses on board, and we got businesses on board. Eventually, they stopped paying because they wanted more users to adopt their products. Or not stop paying, but essentially attracting these new businesses wasn't as easy because no consumers were there. And so we followed a very traditional marketing route, which was put out some Google search engine, like some Google keywords, some print, some PR. We tried all the things that a normal business would try to get the business off the ground. It didn't work. A few years later, started a company at university in 2000. You know you're old when you start talking in years. In 2010, I think it was, we started Takeaway Taxi. And as the name suggests, it is a takeaway delivery service delivered through taxis. When we started, we had our initial prototype. The taxis were us. And so we were in lecture rooms, people would order food, we would drive to these places and deliver the food. Again, my job was to get businesses on board, and finding restaurants is not hard. Businesses always want to make more money. If you can help them do that, great stuff. The issue is finding people who want to buy businesses' products. And so we struggled getting market traction fast enough. So the company was running for, I think we were around 12 to 18 months. And we struggled to get traction fast enough. And we had a job that consumed a lot of our time, but didn't make money fast enough. $7 per delivery didn't quite fulfill the dream of becoming a millionaire overnight. So the company failed, and we didn't succeed. And these are my examples. They're dime a dozen examples. In the last 7 years, I've worked on, it's more than 350 market validation projects, tech startups, and many of them, market validation went well, they got a product to market, it still didn't work, it still didn't take off. And so I want to show you something which is called the product diffusion, technology adoption lifecycle curve. And I didn't come up with this. It's actually called the Rogers curve. It was invented or came up with 1957 out of the US. And it demonstrates the sociology of users and how they adopt new technology, how they adopt innovation, and how they adopt new products. And so if you have a look at the bell curve, beautifully designed by myself, it represents 100% of the market. So if you target a business-to-business solution targeted at accountants, the bell curve would represent 100% of your market. If you're targeting students, this would represent 100% of your market of students. And so we can split the graph into two distinct parts. Now, on the left of the bell curve, you have what we call the early market. And that consists of your innovators, which are technology enthusiasts. These are the people that want technology as soon as it comes out. Something new happens, something new gets invented, they want to be the first ones to try it. The innovators are the people that would pay for space tourism. And they're already in line with Virgin Galactic, I believe it is, to be the first to be in space. And out of the total market, you have innovators represent about 2.5%. Next to them, you have your early adopters. Early adopters are roughly around 13.5%, 13%. And early adopters are people that are looking for a competitive edge. If you're talking at accounting firms, use that as an example, it'll be accounting firms who look for technology, look for products, look for innovations that help them gain a competitive edge over their competitors. If you're looking at consumer-based products, these are the people that see a blog, a tech blog, and they want to be the first ones to purchase the product. Now, on the other side, we have the mass market. And so we've got the early majority, which are the people that want to try products, but they want the products to be proven. They want the products to be reviewed. They want the products to be immaculate. Following the early mass market, you've got the late majority of the mass market. These are the people that will not try anything unless it's been through the news, they've seen it on TV, there's ads up and running, and the product becomes quite ubiquitous. And towards the end, you have got the laggards. The laggards are the people that still use typewriters. Windows XP is what they use every day. Their phones have buttons. They're people that don't like technology. And so there's a little bit of a problem in the market. When startups first launch their companies, they focus on the biggest market, where they see the cash, the money. And that is in the mass market, because it represents, my maths is not very good this time of the night, but it represents more than 80% of the market, right? And that's what we naturally go to advertise, with Facebook advertising, with Google AdWords, and so on. But really what we need to focus on is the left-hand side. And another interesting part is that, so when you've got a startup and you're looking at getting market traction, you need to find your early adopters. These people that love technology, they're looking for a competitive edge. And the key pointers to find these people is looking for customers that have got issues. They've got problems, they've got a need in the market. So that's number one. Number two, they're actively seeking solutions already. They're already looking for technology, they're looking in the market, they're actively looking but can't find anything. Those are your early adopters. Those are the people you want to target. Now, the issue with that is that once you find these people and they purchase from you, you still need to then change your product and change your strategy of rolling out your product to the mass market, which is a different topic again. If anyone is interested in this topic in specific and developing products for early customers versus the mass market, there's a great book called Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore, and it covers that quite significantly. So I wanted to show you how this is applied with real startups. This here is a company called Stalk, and I founded that company, co-founded the company with one of my colleagues, and we did professional development for lawyers. So we had the legal market, and we had this piece of software that allowed lawyers to track their professional development. They could get audited at any time, and the current alternative was just Excel spreadsheets. So we tried the traditional marketing route. We tried newspapers, trade magazines, events. Lawyers are very hard to get a hold of, I tell you. They don't spend much time on social media. And our traditional marketing strategy didn't work. We put a lot of money into the wind with no returns. And so was it a bad product or was it a bad marketing strategy? And so we went back to the technology adoption lifecycle curve and sort of said, cool, so who are actually our early adopters? And we segmented our market, we segmented the lawyers, and we found a couple of legal firms who were actively looking for technology they could adopt within their companies. Once we had them, we used them as our user stories, our case studies, to then onboard the mass market and sort of roll it out to other segments of the legal industry. Anyone here heard of Squawk Squad? Yeah, one person only. Okay, so Squawk Squad. Squawk Squad is a company, social enterprise, that started a few years ago, and their MO is to save native birds from pests. And so what they created was a trapping system they could install in the forest that would trap possums, trap rats, but was actually funded by the public rather than just government. And when we were working with Squawk Squad, the team needed to know whether the public would actually fund traps and whether the public wanted to know whether the traps would actually kill a rat. And it's like, ding, you've just killed a rat. So we didn't know whether it's going to work. So we actually used the Kickstarter strategy that someone was asking before. And again, we used the technology adoption lifecycle curve. We looked at who are some key innovators in that space that are actively looking for a solution, that want to be associated with the brand. We looked at some early adopters, some big names that we could use, leverage, probably a better word, to help us lead traffic back to Kickstarter through newspapers, through news channels like Morning Show, to then get people to fund that page on Kickstarter. It's still on Kickstarter if you Google it, and you can have a look at what they've done, which is quite cool. For those of you that don't know the first couple of companies that I spoke about, the next one I'm pretty sure you know. Has everybody heard of Uber before? No? What? So Uber is, they use the same strategy. Uber is, they didn't start off by creating an app and putting up some ads on Facebook and everyone loved their products and everyone used them. Their strategy was, again, you can fit it against that product adoption lifecycle curve where they looked for influencers and they looked at, okay, we've got this technology, how can we get it into the mass market? And similar to what Sam was talking about before, about how for his gaming technology, they used influencers, this is what Uber did. And so they have got these massive technology conferences all around the world. And Uber partnered up with these conferences. And what they did is they got on the good side of all these tech bloggers. And so all these tech bloggers that would go to these conferences, thousands of them from all over the world, they would give free rides to, free tickets, and would help them download the app and make the process very, very seamless. But all of a sudden, in the space of a very short amount of time, you have got all these tech bloggers talking about Uber and how amazing the first experience was. And now these tech bloggers feel good, for one, for sharing this new technology with their friends, and their friends are receiving some free rides. And I think all of you remember, you get a friend on board, you get a free ride. That was one of the early strategies. And very quickly, you had Uber getting market penetration, or what we call diffusing their product into the market. Only after that, later on, did they use traditional marketing, like billboards, Facebook ads, TV commercials, etc. So again, it's finding your influencers, finding the innovators, finding the early adopters, and then trickling down into the mass market. So it's quite a unique strategy. Now, hands up who knows this company. Always testing. Some people are too shy, they don't put their hand up. Who's downloaded this application? Oh, not shy. Okay, good. Single people? No. With Tinder, the same thing. Tinder had a unique challenge because it was the social stigma attached to online dating. I remember when I was at at university, and a friend told me about online dating. I was like, isn't that for weird people? And it's sort of, there's a stigma attached to it. So Tinder faced the same issue. I'm going over time, I'll speed this up. But Tinder faced the same issue. So what they did is they created this awesome app, but to get it into the market, they couldn't just advertise it because people wouldn't download it, people wouldn't upload their pictures and put their face next to the social stigma of online dating. So they went to universities and they targeted not people between 17 and 55, which is everyone in the mass market who wants to date. They were very specific and they segmented it to 17 to 23-year-olds at universities. And even more specific than that, they went into fraternities and sororities. So they had all these amazing women that they got on as part of these sororities. And then they had all the frat boys that they got onto the platform and they were just dating each other. And now you have these popular kids on the platform advertising online dating is cool, and it trickles down from university to universities. Outside of fraternities and sororities into other universities and other places and other countries. It's worldwide. If you're looking for a date in Germany, you can start swiping today. So, these were a couple of case studies. I wanted to leave you with the 5 steps that you can implement immediately, almost immediately, to help you with your product diffusion. And so number 1, make sure that you understand TALK. I call it TALK, Technology Adoption Lifecycle Curve. Make sure you grasp it, you have a good understanding of it. Segment your market. Don't target everybody, segment it. Look at who are the innovators, who are the early adopters, who are champions, who are the people looking for a quick solution, and who can we target the quickest. That is it. Thank you very much.